Listen now, I want to do something this morning, a little bit unusual. I want to give you your first dollar on your million. So from the back of the church, I want you to stand and come around. And I want to bless you from the back of the church on the left side. Stand and come on around. Come strong now. If y'all gonna get this million, y'all got to move a little quick on this million now. Did I get everybody? You give me mine. You know, a few dollars kind of cooled it off in there for a minute. One in a million. How many can claim that vision today? How many will claim that? How many will claim that vision today? This is one in a million. It's just one in a million. Let me see if I can preach this expeditiously. The first thing that I need you to understand is that you are already worth $1 million and more. I said you're already worth $1 million or more. How you see yourself, how you value yourself. What do you think you're worth? Do you know your worth? Do you walk like you're worth $1 million? Have you ever heard somebody say, I feel like $1 million? How do you know how $1 million feels? But in your imagination, you feel so good, Destiny, that you can imagine that if somebody gave me $1 million, this is how it would feel. So you say, I feel like $1 million. Now, first, understand your worth. If you got good health, your health is priceless. If you can stand up out of your seat and sit back down, talk with me just a minute. How much are your legs worth to you? I mean, if I gave you $1 million, would you give me your legs? Are your legs worth $1 million? What about your eyes? If I had $1 million in my hand and I'd give it to you, if you gave me your eyes, would you exchange your eyes for $1 million? Can I get a witness? So the first thing you got to stop doing is looking at yourself like you poor. When you wake up in the morning, you better lift up your hands and thank God like you the richest man that's walking the face of the earth. When you get out of the bed under your own power, then you better act like you're a billionaire because you got your health. Your health is priceless. But if you don't know your worth, you got a lot of people in this world who will always use you for nothing. Shake somebody's hand and say, you got some users in this world who don't value your time, don't value your labor, don't value your intellect. And so if you don't set a value on your life, then people will use you until you dry up and roll over in the grave. Can I get a witness? They will take advantage of you. So you have to set your value of what your time is worth, what your gift is worth, and what value you have. Anybody in here got a good mama? I got to work with this worth here for a minute. Fiona, what you think? You got a good mama? Is your mama here? Is your mama in the courtroom today? Would you point to her? That's your mama? What's her worth to you? If I gave you $1 million, would you trade in? Would you exchange her for another mother? Not for $1 million cash dollars. She's worth more than $1 million to you. Anybody in here got a good child? Would you trade them for $1 million? Would you exchange your good child for $1 million? It might get a little thin, a little quiet up in here. Now, anybody in here got a good man? Would you trade him? Is he worth $1 million to you? Sister Minnie, listen, there's a scripture over in the book of Proverbs at chapter 31. Evangelist Brown, pray with me on this here. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? And then it tries to set a price for a virtuous woman. And as wise as the Bible is, the Bible said her price. This is the best the Bible could do. Is far above rubies. Not a few rubies. Rubies with an S. Is I got any good women in the building today? If I got any virtuous women? Do you understand that your price is far above rubies? Now, see, I'm not going to play with you and whatnot. Me and my wife have our issues. But the one thing you've never heard me talk about us arguing about is money. Because I ain't never got nothing in my hands that was worthy of what my wife is owed. I ain't never had that kind of money in my hands to measure up what she's worth to me. We don't argue about no money. If I had $1 million, she's worth more than that. If I had 2 million, she's worth more than that. Man, I'm trying to calm down. It's kind of rough on me to preach this today. You got to know your value. Shake somebody's hand and say, you got to know your value. You got to know what you're worth. And then, Sandy, you got to hold your head up. Because even if somebody don't recognize what you're worth, you know your value. I want to bust this negative self-esteem or self-image. I want to bust that out of the church right now. I'm not talking to nobody who's worth less than $1 million. There's nobody in the building who's not worth $1 million and more. But sometimes we don't know our value because we run around with too many poor folks. And they have a poor mentality. And when you got a poor mentality, then you are poor. And some of us has grown up around so many poor people that we got a poor outlook on life. And we got a poor spirit. Can I get a witness? And nobody has ever valued us. Let me tell you something from some experience, so to speak. I was on 79th Street in Elizabeth when we were there, and a sister had just recently joined our church. And she called me up that morning before church. She said, Pastor, if possible, would you give me a few minutes of your time after service because I need to ask your questions about something. I said, sure, sister. I said, that's no problem. So after church, I went in my office and she came in and she asked me about some domestic issues and I talked to her about it. And so we about, I don't know, maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes went by. She said, thank you so much. She said, I sure appreciate it. And while I was standing outside talking, doing like I do, she came back up to me with some money balled up and handed it to me. I went and it was three $20 bills, $60. I said, what's this for? She said, is it enough? I said, what's it for? She said, talking to me. I said, $60 for 20 minutes? I said, you want to talk some more? No, I didn't say that. She looked at me and said this. She said, your time is worth something. I said, huh? She said, I don't expect you to just take up time with me for nothing. Shake somebody's hand and say, but if you don't put no value on what you do, then other folks won't put no value on what you do. I gotta be quick now, but I met a couple at McDonald's. They was going through rough times. And they wanted to meet me at McDonald's and talking, so we just met there on 69th off the expressway, and Sister Mimi, we just talked. Maybe about 30, maybe 45 minutes. And at the end of the conversation, he looked at his wife. He said, see there? He said, we spent $1,500 on marriage counseling for 6 weeks. And we should have called the pastor in the first place. We learned more in these 45 minutes than we learned in 6 weeks. I'm still stuck at the $1,500 for the counseling. So I'm thinking in my mind, Evangelist Brown, we got to tell the truth, shame the devil. I'm thinking in my mind, surely he finna go in his pocket now. Since he said he learned more than he did in 6 weeks, he gonna bless me. They paid for my McDonald's and told me, thank you very much. Shake somebody's hand and say, if you don't place a value on what you do, then nobody will value what you do. Can I get a witness? Shake somebody's hand and say, you got to know your worth. Go ahead, grab him by the hand, look him in the eye, say, personally, I'm talking about you. You got to know what your worth is. Is your time valuable? Is your gift worthy? And sometimes we place such little value on our own selves, on our own gifts, or on our own ability. Shake somebody's hand and say, you play yourself. Listen. We're going to talk about this $1 million. You got the first dollar. Now let's talk about how we're going to get the rest of it. Now let's be quick about this. It ain't what you have. It's what you do with what you have. Can I get a witness? Come on, repeat after me. It's not what you have, but it's what you do with what you have. See, two brothers working the same job, making the same money, cannot arrive at the same place 30 years later. Even though they're sitting on the same job, live in the same neighborhood, make the same money, both got the same number of kids. 30 years from that day, with both of them making $30 an hour. At the end of 30 years, one of them will only get a watch, which shows he's been there for 30 years. The other brother might be able to buy the company by the time he get to 30 years. What matters is the mind. It's not what you have, but it's what you do with you have. If I got any card players up in here? Holla! It ain't the cards you've been dealt. I wish I had some real folk up in here. If I got some card players up in here, y'all got to witness. Some of these folk don't know nothing about this. It's not the cards you've been dealt, but it is the mind that's playing the cards. Can I get a witness? See, a losing hand that one person looks at, the same hand is a winning hand. Can I get a witness? See, I can't play cards, but I'm a student of the game. I like to watch. And I've watched somebody sit there talking about shoot. They might didn't say shoot. But I've heard them say, this ain't nothing. I can't do nothing with this. You didn't give me nothing. And I've seen somebody look over their shoulder and say, that'll work right there. They say, you can't do nothing with this. So why don't you get up, let me get a shot. And I've watched somebody sit down with the same hand and say, let's rock. And it take a few minutes, but all of a sudden, the game starts to change. And before you know it, they are on top. Shake somebody's hand and say, it's not what you have, but it's what you do with what you have. Now help me here for a minute. We're not broke because we ain't never had nothing. Lord, y'all got to help me to preach here. I said we're not broke because we ain't never. Everybody done had a check at one time or another. Income tax check. Insurance check. Everybody had had something at one time. But it ain't what you have. It's how you use what you have. Moses said, Sister Mimi, Moses said, the Lord asked, what's that you got in your hand? He said, it's just a rod. The Lord said, that'll work. I can bless you with what's in your hand. Everybody hold your hands up to the Lord. The Lord said, I can bless you with what's in your hand. Whatever you have to work with, I can get you $1 million with what's in your hands. I ain't got to give you nothing else. I can just use what you was born with. I can use your God-given talents that were in you before you was ever born. And I can get your $1 million out of that. Shake somebody's hand and say, it's not what you have, but it's what you do with what you have. Is any of my bid whiz folk up in here? Don't let me take too long. Is I got some bid whiz folk up in here? Holla! All the bid folks say, yo! There's some bids up in here. Sometime it ain't what you know, but it's who you with. Shake somebody's hand and say, it ain't what you know, but it's who you with. Who you with? Even if you real good at bid, if you done got hooked up with the wrong partner, shake somebody's hand and say, if you're unequally yoked, I'm going to preach if y'all don't say nothing. If you're, Mimi, am I preaching? If you're unequally yoked, now you know what you're doing, but you done hooked up with somebody who don't know what they're doing and they're not paying attention to you when you said 5 low. Can I get a witness? Some of us just got bad partners. And it's hard to prosper if you done got the next couple that I counsel, I'm going to be sitting there with a deck of cards and the rules to bid whisk. Ask yourself, is you got a good partner here? If what you plan to do is make $1 million, is you got a partner when you look across the table, is you got a partner that's so in tune with you, with such good communications. They look at your eyes, they hear the inflection of your voice, and even without you telling them, they know what's in your hand. Shake somebody's hand and say, sometimes it's who you with. Now, when you think about getting together with somebody, how old is you, Don? You've been had something on your mind lately? You got your good bid whiz partner. You don't know? You better know because she listening to you. What you, who are you think I'm talking about? Stay with me now. Shake somebody's hand and say, you gotta get the right friendships. You got to get the right fellowships. You got to get the right relationships. Can I get a witness? Oh, if you talk broke and run with broke, sleep with broke, and hang out with broke, you're going to mess around and be broke too. Then don't talk back at me now. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of broke folks, nor standeth in the way. You got some friends that inspire you. This ain't for no haters. I can't help you, because you get offended when your friend blow up. You get a nasty attitude when they buy a new house or get them a say, I'm not talking to you. Ain't no help for you. You're a hater. But if I got anybody in here that got a friend that inspires them, that if you see them doing well, it motivates you. You don't get mad. You want to see your people blessed. Can I get a witness? You don't go on over their house and sit on the couch and say, I like this. Go on, get in their Mercedes and whatnot and say, I like this, baby. I like where you're rolling in this here. Goes gets me ones too. Some of y'all can't even afford to get married. If you get married, your friend gonna fall out with you. You can't even get married. You can't have no child. Have a child, they're gonna quit speaking to you. Until your child get on dope or something, then they'll start back talking to you. But if they on the honor roll and whatnot, they ain't got nothing for you. They got a scholarship, full scholarship, they stop calling you. Can I get a witness? No, you got to have somebody who is a blessing to you, and you can be a blessing to them. You need somebody who inspires you. Quit friending down, because some of you all is so insecure that you only want to be around folk who got less than you, so it make you feel strong. Y'all ain't got to say nothing. I'm preaching. But you always friend down because it makes you feel more secure. But that's why you ain't going no further. Shake somebody's hand and say, you ought to friend up sometime. Everybody got somebody in the family that's paid. But we always got something negative and nasty to say about them. That's why your kids gonna be broke. Because you negative talking about their auntie. You negative talking about the people in the family that's blessed. You always got your lip all frowned up and that's why your kids ain't gonna have nothing. You ought to celebrate whoever in your family who can break out of the poverty cycle. You ought to celebrate the fact that one of y'all done got out. If one can get out, two can get out, three can get out. And if we pay attention, all of us can walk out of this thing. But somebody got to be the first to make $100,000 a year. Somebody got to be the first to make $500,000 a year. Somebody got to be the first to own $1 million worth of property. Somebody got to be the first to not need no money from nobody at no time. Somebody got to be the first one to be one in a million. Lord, I wish I could preach like I want to. Shake somebody's hand and say, we just can't all be broke. Having a broke family reunion. Talking about $50. Kind of family is this? $50? You mean the shake costs $20? Yeah, I think somebody trying to come up. you understand we are collectively holding each other down by having such a poor mentality of not wanting to put value on what we do? Some of y'all ain't gonna get in the Cadillac until you're dead, or until your mama die. That's when you gonna get in your first limousine. Ain't that a shame? I say, ain't that a shame? Y'all ain't saying that. I say, ain't that a shame? Mama's first ride in a limousine gonna be a hearse. Because you can't afford to have a limousine pull up to the front door and take her downtown. But in death, you talking about ain't that too good for my mom? She gone now. I'm gonna put on some pearls. I'm gonna put on some this and that. You can go on by them pearls now, while you can see your mama. You can come on through the door with that new dress now. Instead of taking it to Gatlin's and A.A. Rayner, you can go and buy that now. Let me say this quickly. Whew. It's kind of hard for me to talk about my folks. Went to the grocery store with my daddy and my mama. And after they got all the stuff, Sister McKinley, my father looked at me and said, y'all pray for me. See, I left my money at home. Could you buy these groceries? I went in my pocket and bought the groceries. When we got home, Evangelist Brown, he said, here's the money.
Come on now. Come on now.
I said, that's all right. Yeah. He said, no, I want to give it back to you. I said, you all have fed me. All my life. And I've never bought groceries for you. Please accept these groceries. Had I known better, I would have bought them every week. Listen now. Who you with? And what do you see? Now we got to break the cycle of poverty. And we got to read what the scripture says, that the blessings of the Lord, it maketh rich and add no sorrow. Now that's for all the folks that say more money, more problems. Shake somebody's hand and say, we're not talking about stealing it. We ain't talking about lying to get it. We're not talking about ripping folk off, because that money brings sorrow with it. We're not talking about a dope deal. But the blessings of the Lord, It maketh rich and it adds no sorrow with it. Can I get a witness? I don't just want to be rich, but I want to be rich with peace. And I want to be rich with joy. Can I get a witness? Which means not only am I going to get it, but I got to get it right. Shake somebody's hand and say, I'm going to get this money, but I'm going to get it right. You see how weak y'all said that? Look at somebody and say, now I'm going to get this money. Oh, I'm going to get this money. Ain't no need of you looking at me funny. I'm going to get this money. No, I'm going to get this money, but I'm going to get it right. I ain't going to lie to get it. I ain't going to cheat to get it. I ain't going to steal. But I'm going to get this money. We got to get something straight here. You ain't righteous because you poor. You ain't holy because you're broke. You ain't got no ticket to heaven just because of the fact you can't pay your bills. Only the devil got us thinking everybody with some money is a devil. Like everybody broke is righteous. You can't be righteous with some money. Talk back at me, church. If God bless you, you can't be right. You can't serve God if he bless you. Now talk back at me. You can't worship God if he give you $1 million. You can't come to church and lift up holy hand. Is the only way you can do for God is he got to keep you broke, busted, and disgusted. Can you serve the Lord with money in your pocket, with your cup running over? How do we get this money? Somebody tell me what you see. Tell me what you see. Listen, when a poor person sees this, they see an apple for them to consume and eat. When a poor person sees this, they say, that looks good, I want to eat it. When a rich person sees the same apple, they see seeds. I can eat the apple, but the seeds on the inside of the apple, I ain't spitting them out. I ain't throwing them away. I'm going to plant them. Because what's in the apple is greater than the apple. Because on the inside of the apple is seeds that grow apple trees. So when a rich person sees the apple, they don't see consumption, they see opportunity. That I can start an apple farm with this one apple. Because on the inside of this apple is countless trees. And the trees will produce countless apples. And after that, I'll have a whole apple orchard. Can I get a witness? Shake somebody's hand and say, now you gonna eat it or you gonna plant? It all depends on how you look at it. This don't look the same to everybody. To some folk, when you got this, all it meant was a trip to the vending machine. But some folk look at this dollar and think about how can I make it turn into two? And how can I take two and make it turn into four? And from this $1, shake somebody's hand and say, with this $1, with the right attitude and the right spirit and the right plan, I can actually take this $1 and turn it into $1 million. Shake somebody and say, all it takes is the right thought, the right vision, the right mentality, the right work ethic. Everything in this world is about sowing and reaping, sowing and reaping. But when you're poor, you think everything is about spending. Shake somebody's hand and say, some folks spend, some folks save, and some folks sow. Some spend, some save, and some sow. Some see shopping. Some see an opportunity to invest. Some folk, shake somebody's hand and say they're looking to spend. I got some money and it's burning a hole in my pocket. And I'm looking to spend. Can I get a witness? Shake somebody's hand and say, somebody say, I got some money and I'm looking to invest. Shake somebody's hand and say, it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. It's just a mentality. Some folk is looking to spend and some folk is looking for an opportunity to invest. Y'all ever see the thing about Ray Kroc? Ray Kroc was 51 years old and he went to a little restaurant called McDonald's that was owned by two brothers, the McDonald brothers, and he walked into the restaurant, or rather stood on the outside because they was only serving out, and he got his burger and fries so fast, and he stood there and said, who owns this? And they said, the McDonald brothers, they there. And so he met them. He said, can I sit down and talk with y'all for a minute? They said, sure. He said, how many of these do you all have? They said, we got one. We tried to do two, but it just didn't work out. He said, it ought to be McDonald's in every city in the country. He was 51 years old. They said, it just won't work. He said, I'll work for you for free. Give me the opportunity because I see it. Shake somebody's hand and say, it's all not what you have, but what you do with what you have. Ray Kroc said, I see McDonald's in every major city in the United States, and now I see them in China. I see them in Russia. I see them in Europe. Shake somebody's hand and say, write the vision. Make it plain. Ray Kroc said, I see this. You got something, but you don't know what you have. There was a man some years back. He wrote a little comic book. It had turtles who did kung fu. They were called Ninja Turtles. And every year, Mama Moselle, he would go to the place where they sell comic books, and he would try to sell it, and he couldn't sell. And one day a boy walked up to the thing, a salesman walked up to his thing and said, how long you been doing this? He said, I've been doing it for 10 years. He said, I think I got a good idea. He said, but nobody wants it. They say turtles don't move fast. And it don't make no sense to have turtles that do karate. And in fact, he said, this is my 10th year trying to sell it, and I'm done with it. So the man looked at him and said, give me 50% of the company, and I'll get you $1 million within a year. He said, I've done everything. He said, yeah, but you're still broke though, ain't you? He said, it's my idea. I came up with it. I wrote it and I created. Why would I give you 50%? He said, because 50% of $1 million is better than 100% of nothing. You got something, but you can't do nothing with it. He signed the contract and gave him 50% of the Ninja Turtles, and in 5 years, it was worth over $110 million. because he knew what to do with it. Can I get a witness? Shake somebody's hand and say, what do you have? What's in your hand? What do you see? And some of y'all just see an apple, but some of y'all see seeds. But if you're really going to be rich, you got to see applesauce. You got to see apple pies. Can I get a witness? You got to see taffy apples. Can I get a witness? What else? You got to see apple cider vinegar. Can I get a witness? Shake somebody's hand and say it's the same apple, but according to what your vision is, it begins to multiply. You got to have the right people around you. You got to have the right mindset. You got to have the right vision. You can only go as far as you can see. Limited vision will stop anybody from accomplishing their goals. Shake somebody's hand and say, what do you see? How far can you see? And if all you can see is I'm just barely making it through, all right, as long as I can go from paycheck to paycheck, I'll be satisfied. And as long as I can pay my bills, I just want to be able to pay my bills. But have I got anybody in here that paying bills ain't enough for you to be satisfied? I got anybody in here said, I'm not going to work all day slaving day and night just so I can pay my bills? Because if all I can do is pay bills, I can't be a blessing to nobody. I want the blessing of the Lord that maketh rich and adds no sorrow to it. So I need God to bless my eyesight. Can I get a witness? Put your hand over your eyes for a minute and say, Lord, let me see. I need to see my future. I need to see myself coming up. And I need to see myself overcome it. Can I get a witness? I want to be blessed of the Lord. But first I got to get it in my mind. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Shake somebody's hand and say, I got to think rich in order to be rich. I need a rich attitude. I wish I had just a few people that would just go with me for a minute.